So I said to my brother, I want to drive it first. You know, turn the headlights on the kind of 80s plasticky stalks, pull the choke up, the light comes on, fired it up, all the dials went up, and the first thing we thought was, does the boost gauge work? Will that turbo gauge move across? Which it did, which was brilliant. So we took it up the road, and the moment the turbo kicked in, we were like, yep, we are back in the early 90s again. It was brilliant. My brother, there's 10 years between us, who I own the cars with. So I've got like kind of fond memories of him turning up in hot hatches, and his friends in the cars they turn up in, you know, 205 GTIs, Astra GTEs, Fiesta turbos, Escort turbos. So growing up as a young lad around those things, that's kind of where the first petrol head element came from. We were looking for a car from our youth, one that, you know, could have been within reach of me, or one that my brother had driven, or, you know, something of that era all his friends had had. So back in August 2019, my brother sent me a WhatsApp saying, do you fancy a trip to Holland, with a picture of this on an advert, and kind of laughed it off, forgot about it. Then we saw each other, had a chat, and I was like, do you know what, why don't we give the guy a ring and just see if it's something we could kind of pursue. It sounded like the kind of car we wanted. James, my brother, rang the owner, had quite a long chat with him, built up a good bit of rapport with him, and because it had got so much interest, being low owner, low mileage, standard, the guy obviously had a lot of interest for the car. He went to a sealed bids, so we made an offer. We actually didn't win the car at that point. Our offer wasn't accepted, somebody else's was. Their offer fell through, but the gentleman selling the car, like the sound of my brother from the conversations he'd had, knew we weren't buying it to flip it or try and make money. We were buying it because we genuinely wanted one of these. My brother then got a ticket to fly out because we thought, you know, it's a Renault 5, a lot of them are dogs or they've had a hard life. And whilst this looked good, we thought it's still worth a flight out to Holland to look at the car. The car originally was bought in West Sussex Renault, Swan Renault. It's still got the original dealer plates, dealer mud flaps, loads of paperwork with it. The gentleman who bought it from there moved out for work to Holland. So it was there from around 1992. Lived in a garage for 27 years, and then he decided it was time to part with it. Obviously there was a lot of to and fro with conversations with the owner, the paperwork, re-importing a car that was technically registered in the UK, that had gone out, that was coming back. It was a real faff, and there was a couple of points where my brother, who was doing a lot of the kind of liaising with the owner at the time, just said, you know what, I don't know if this is worth it or if it's going to happen. But we kept with it, we kept pursuing the car. So 11 o'clock on a Tuesday evening, it arrived on the back of a trailer outside the house. So my brother had come over, and it was all we hoped it would be. Took it for a quick drive around the block, and then parked it up and thought, right, we better try and get it sorted now. My brother and I love hot hatches, but we don't necessarily like modified ones. And when we saw this one come up, we could just tell, like the way the advert was written, that it, you know, it was a genuine car. Nothing's been changed. It's all original. It's never had a dump valve on it. It's never been lowered. It's never had any welding. The sills are all original. The floor pan's original. The seats are the proper colour. They're not bleached out with sun. And we thought, you know, this is as good as it's going to get. The paintwork was a little bit flat. The alloys weren't quite as clean as we want. You know, there's still the original Speedline finish on the alloys. You know, how many Renault 5 wheels are out there that have still got the original factory finish on? It was all those kind of things that built the picture that we thought, this is a good car, good honest car. A lot of the ones in the classifieds we knew that they're cars that have been unmax powered. So they've had the suspension put back to normal, they've had the interior put back correct, they've had dump valves removed, bigger intercoolers removed, so they look the part. And it, you know, for all intents and purposes, it's a standard GT turbo, but it could have had a hard life. You know, bits that have been put back on. They were never well built when they were, you know, when they were made. They weren't made to last. So, you know, people have nursed them along and then tried to make them look like they were an original car, whereas we knew, we could just tell this had been an original car that had never been touched. We've had friends that have said you should put a dump valve on it, you should lower it a bit, but we want to keep it true to what it was when it came out of the factory. And it's a great drive as it is, so I know they drive well when they're modified, but we personally like the standard finish and the standard performance from it as well. It's completely different to anything you get into a modern car now with. You know, the panels are light, they're thin, you know, you're pretty close up to the door, there's not a lot of room in the cab, but you know, you get the wheel, it feels quality. For a Renault, it feels a good quality, you know, steering wheel with the metal in the middle and the ribbed edges. And then, you know, having to start it up, it is a Renault 5, they're not the most reliable starters, or particularly on hot start as well. Pulling the choke on, pumping the throttle a couple of times, wondering how many cranks it'll take to turn it over, waiting for the fuel pump to kick in, you know, all those kind of things. Watch the oil pressure gauge rise up, throwing it around the lanes. It will handle well, it does bump around, but yeah, you can throw it into the corners and it does handle pretty well. And they're so light as well that they do tend to go pretty well. There's no ABS, there's no power steering, you know, there's nothing really other than you connected with the wheel and the engine. And when the boost kicks in, it does punch you along the road for a little engine. You know, they were good performance cars back in the day, and they keep up with, you know, certain cars now. I think the 0 to 60 on them is in the 7s, so they're quite a quick little car still, and it'll keep a clean pair of heels against some modern stuff, definitely. I've had some good interesting cars. Subaru Imprezas, Mitsubishi FQ360 Evo, Honda S2000, Integra Type R, those kind of cars. My brother's had Fiesta Turbos, RS Turbos, Astra GTs, but you know, this brings a bigger smile. I get more fun from driving this, genuine hand on heart, than I do some of the other cars which are far quicker, probably better handling, you know, but these bring a bigger smile, more enjoyment than any of the modern cars that I've had. They've been great cars and I've enjoyed them for what they are, but there's something special like going back to the cars that were part of your youth. And you can't put a price on that.